Now, 48 human rights and press freedom organizations have condemned the arrest and arbitrary detention of Nigerian journalist and human rights defender Omoyele Sowore, who was arrested by the authorities following a call for peaceful protest. The groups declared Sowore's arrest and detention a gross violation of his human rights, including the right not to be arbitrarily detained as protected by Article 9, subsection 1 of the Constitution. Earlier in our news, public affairs analyst Malachy Ugwumadu shed more light on the situation. Within
our own political arrangement, we have a ground, and that ground is the 1999 Constitution as amended. Section 34 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, is one of the sections dealing with the fundamental rights. This time, his right to liberty. In other words, your liberty cannot be curtailed except with the express orders of the court. So, in addition to the international legal instrument you mentioned, is the Constitution, is also the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, and so on and so forth. So, Mr. Omoyele Sowore, being a citizen of Nigeria, is entitled to his rights as protected by the Constitution. Today, what has happened is that the DSS has relied on a provision of the Anti-Terrorism Act, which was promulgated on the heels of the terrorist activities going on, and charged Mr. Sowore under that law. The law, as it is, grants the court the power to order the detention of any person suspected to have committed any offense under the Terrorist Act for 90 days. In his own case, it was shortened to 45 days. So, but the issue is, to what extent can you rationalize that kind of law, considering the fact that Section 1, subsection 3 of the same Constitution speaks about the supremacy of the Constitution above any other law, including the Terrorist Prevention Act that I talked about. Therefore, once there is a conflict between the law and the Constitution, the provisions of the Constitution will prevail. So if you're speaking strictly about the law, you will understand why Mr. Femi Falana led some of us, I'm in the legal team of Omoyele Sowore, to ask that the order detaining him and seeking to extend his detention should be vacated, because do not forget that order was obtained ex parte. In any case, the very crucial point to note is that whether rule of court or whether substantive law, once it is at variance with the express provisions of the Constitution, no less the constitutional fundamental right, once that other law or rule of law or rule of court is at variance with that Constitution, it must fall to the extent of that inconsistency. And that's where we are standing. Now, it is not just law. The society is not just regulated by law. Society is also regulated by morals, also regulated by tradition, also regulated by conventions. So, to the extent that we, in the human rights community, have sufficiently convinced ourselves that we have exited the point where Nigerians' rights can be flouted and disobeyed, just as we had it under the military. To that extent, people are not ready to listen just to what the government is preaching. It is for that reason that the agitation is continuing. This agitation is to bring it to the consciousness of the world that some of these people, and it's not just Mr. Omoyele Sowore, we have Jalingo Agba, a colleague of yours, in Cross River, and one other young man who was adopted and taken away. Up to today, we don't know where he is. So these are prisoners of conscience, political prisoners, as far as we're concerned. Well, Section 287 of the Constitution speaks to the preeminent, the very important mandatory responsibility of not just the government, but every person to obey court order and judgments. So that is put aside. Look, this man belongs to a constituency that has dealt sufficiently against the military in this country, and that what it is that has taken him to where he is now is those set of activities that are over which the human rights pro-democracy community is very, very familiar in knowing how to handle.
Okay.
And I make the point that once it is clear to us that they are not willing to allow peace to reign, we know precisely how to deal with it.